Hello, Rich Merritt here with Digital Combustion, and today's video tutorial is going to be on how to load simulations onto your iPad. And we're going to have to do that through iTunes. So as you can see right here, I've got iTunes up and running. I have my iPad plugged into the USB port on the computer, and now we're going to be ready to find out how to load those simulations that you've got on your desktop onto your iPad. So the first thing you have to remember is that there are different versions of iTunes out there, and depending on which version you have, they might look a little different. I'm going to go ahead and pull this one up and see what version we have here. This says this is version 12.6.1.25, and so as this video gets older, the interface might change a little bit, but basically the process is going to be the same. So the biggest problem people have is especially if they don't do it all the time, or they're not in the Apple world, they're doing it from a Windows computer, they may not have experience using iTunes. So it is a little confusing. It's not the best interface, but that's the only way Apple will allow us to put simulations onto your iPad. If you look up in this corner here in the upper left, you can see this little icon right up here, and that's representing your iPad. So I'm going to click on that, and so that brings up, it shows that this is Rich's iPad. And it's got a summary of all the things that are on this iPad. This is where you'd go ahead and update your software and things like that. You can also back up your iPad, which is a good idea in case bad things happen. What we want to do though is we want to figure out where to go to get our simulations onto the iPad. So we're going to click underneath the summary tab here. You can see there's one that says apps. So if we click on the apps, you can see all the apps that are on this iPad, and there's a whole bunch of them. And some of them are installed, some of them aren't. What happens to a lot of people is they watch this video and they might say, well, I don't see any way to get to it. And if you see, I can keep scrolling, and it's underneath here, there's a thing called file sharing. And if you don't scroll enough, if you don't scroll all the way down, it looks like you're at the bottom of the page right here, and you might try and look, oh, here's Fire Studio 5 right here on my list, but I don't see any way to add things. But what you have to do is move your mouse or your scroll wheel off to the side here and pull this all the way down, and you can see this file sharing. And right now this is the only app that allows it that I have on this iPad. So there's a file sharing, and you can see that there's an apply and a done. But when I click on this, once I highlight Fire Studio 5 player, now there's an add button. Okay, and that's the most important part, because people will have it like this. So you can see right here, there's no add. I don't see any add button. That's what they'll call them. They'll say, I don't have what you have. And you have to make sure you scroll all the way down until you can see this add button. So that's the most confusing part about this whole thing. Once you find this button, everything's super easy after that. So if I click the add button, now you can see I have it, the last folder that I was in, I was looking at these simulations. So I'm just going to grab a few of these. And remember, there's a DCS file and possibly an LBR file if you have any custom background. So both of those files have to go in for that to work and for them to play on your iPad. So I'm going to go ahead and take a few of these. I'm going to go ahead and take 3 different sims, and you can see I've got a DCS and LBR that matches, another DCS for this power plant, and an LBR that matches, and this 5-story brick DCS has a 5-story brick LBR, and those all match. So I'm going to click add. And so you can see they're going to start showing up on my list as those get downloaded to my player. Okay, so now you can see I have all those simulations and their library files are on there. So that's all I have to do is I can click done. And it's going to ask if I want to apply these changes, and I'm going to apply them, and then I'm done. So we don't have to have it sync after that. We can just leave it. But you can. That's a good time to sync your iPad with your computer, and once you now go over to those simulations, they should be there. Now, the same way we put them on is the same way we're going to take them off. So if I go ahead and click back on this, and I go to my apps and scroll back down, so you can see that I'm back into my FS5 player. And let's say I didn't want one of these sims, or I want to replace some of them. So I could go ahead and highlight a couple. I'm going to take this first one. And then all I have to do is hit the delete key on the keyboard. So I'm going to hit delete. It says you want to delete the selected documents from your iPad. I'm going to say delete. And that's all there is to it on that. Anytime you want to either put them on or take them off, you have to come into iTunes and do it this way. This is the way that Apple requires us to put files on and off the iPad. Hope that helped you. This is Rich Merritt with Digital Combustion, and thanks for watching.